Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7, Mighty Thor 127, Batman 156, Uncanny X-Men 136, Frank Miller's Daredevil 164, Jim Starlin's Death of Captain America graphic novel. What do they all have in common? Well, the answer, my friends, is that they all are homages to Michelangelo's Pieta statue. So stick around, we're going to talk about one of those in my next Flashback review. I'm Jesse here, you're watching JLSComics. Thanks for stopping by for another Flashback review. It's been a couple weeks since I've done one, so things have come up, holidays, ailments, what have you. So we're back on schedule, back on track here, and Throwback Thursday, Flashback review, another fun book. And today I'm going to bring to you a book. It is this one here. It is Uncanny X-Men number 167. This actually is an homage to Michelangelo Buonarroti's Pieta statue that he sculpted out of Carrara marble back in 1499, although some people say it might have been 1498. It's sitting in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican behind some bulletproof glass. This Hungarian guy, actually, I think it was in the 70s, tried to smash it, so ever since then it's been behind glass. And it depicts Mary holding Jesus after the crucifixion. And it's been homaged many times. I listed a few of them in the intro, and it's actually kind of a thing that people collect. So this one looks a lot like Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7, where Superman's holding Supergirl. There's been a bunch of them and tons of different covers. There's 20, 30 of them at least. Flash is in on it, Sergeant Rock, the ones I listed before. But today we're going to talk about this one. This is Uncanny X-Men number 167. This is from March of 1982, and it is around the time of the Dark Phoenix saga. This was actually drawn in the month 10. What is that? September? Sure. Now this book is put out by Marvel, obviously, and it is written by Chris Claremont, who was obviously writing at the time, Paul Smith, penciler, who did this, and Bob Wyacek on inks. Jim Shooter was the colorist as well. And according to the indicia, it says Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, number 167, from March of 1983. So this is a Volume 1, number 1. Pretty interesting. Subscription for a whole year costs $7.20. That's less than what a book costs now for some of these freaking Marvel books. Alright, so I'm going to talk about it really briefly. This is the cover. And the back has a pretty cool arcade game for Atari by Parker Brothers. Super Cobra, right? So it's pretty cool. So there's Cyclops holding Professor X. So what happened? Let's find out. Oh, and then you got everybody else looking all mopey and sad. So it opens up, and we're looking at the New Mutants. Actually, it starts off introducing Sam Guthrie, Ron Sinclair, Danielle Moonstar, Roberto DaCosta, and they're all just kind of sitting around there in the living room. They're watching TV, eating popcorn, just kind of chilling out in the school. The school being Professor X's school for gifted youngsters. Just chilling there. You got Cheyenne is there as well. It says a very reclusive, exclusive private academy whose student body currently consists of 5 unique young individuals. And the episode here is called The Goldilocks Syndrome, or Who's Been Sleeping in My Head? So that's funny. More like interesting funny than haha funny. So just chilling out there, just watching movies, just kind of like being teens or whatever, and all of a sudden you get BAMF! That's really what it says. BAMF! Nightcrawler comes in. You got Cyclops and Colossus there, busting in on it, and they're like, and then cuts to commercial real quick. Didn't waste any time getting some adverts in. And then it goes to all of a sudden they're fighting. Cannonball, freaking like, it says, I didn't know this is how his power works. Sam mentally ignites the thermochemical reaction which forms the essence of his mutant power. He's a freaking mutant, Marvel. It says it right here. And he like blasts Cyclops out the door. I mean, Colossus. Then you got Cyclops there, and Kitty Pryde is like sneaking around. She's like being a little ninja, a little pink ninja down there on the second floor. While everybody else is fighting, she's like sneaking around up there. And she knows something happened with Professor X. So she's phasing through the walls and sneaking around. And then you got, Ron Sinclair and DaCosta's fighting Wolverine. And there's a really cool picture of Wolverine. It's not on this page. It must be the next one. But there's a big spread of them fighting. And, what's her name? Kitty Pryde. She's like, looking around. She's like, during our final battle with the Brood, their queen boasted that one of her royal embryos still existed. And Wolverine thought it might have been implanted in Professor X. So she's trying to get to the bottom of that. Well, they're all down there fighting. And then Professor X is at his desk. And then he's got like this really evil grin on his face. And he goes, your hesitation will cost you, dear. And she goes, oh no. Just like that. And then they're fighting, still fighting downstairs, breaking the banisters, breaking the stairwells, breaking up the place. And all of a sudden Professor X rolls out with this like demonic look on his face. His eyes are like all whited out. And he goes, You need not fear for the youngling. She is beyond help. Because he kind of like threw Kitty Pryde off the second floor balcony. And she's like all like on the floor. Like that. So he's like, don't fear for her. And he's like, rather fear for yourselves. And he like breaks apart. And all of a sudden he turns into a Brood. One of these like alien, sort of like xenomorph type of aliens. That's a commercial. And they're fighting. Cyclops is like pew pew, shooting around, and finally hits him. And Cyclops is outside long enough to see the Brood that is Professor X just like shot the frick out the front door, and he lands way out in the yard. And then they go and fight, and then Wolverine comes over. And razor-keen adamantium claws pop free of their housings. He means to bury them in the Queen's heart, and he like jumps on her, and she like ducks and avoids him. And all this stuff happens. And I don't want to like give too much away of the fight, but then you got Binary who shows up and fucks shit up. That's what it says here. And then all of a sudden, Storm comes, and the cloud and the wind and the fog disorient the Brood. And everybody like fuck shit up. And everyone's like, all of a sudden the Brood's not moving. And they're like, the Queen isn't moving, is she dead? And it's like, if she isn't, Kurt, she soon will be. And Storm goes, I could have slain her with a lightning bolt. And Binary like, nice work. And looks like the thing's dead. So they're like, so as long as there's hope, like we killed it, but this used to be Professor X, so what do we do? And they're like, you know what, we have to, like, no matter how slight, we have to try to save Professor X. We can't like just kill him. So like, what can we do? And then Cyclops is like, hey, my pops has a cool spaceship. So they go up and they sit to the Starjammer, and they see Mr. Corsair up there, and you got Moira McTaggart up there helping him. And also, Illyana happens to be up there on the spaceship, because something happened to her. So she's back. She's back awake. And all this stuff happens. And, Corsair's talking to Cyclops. And Corsair goes, interested in seeing your grandparents? And then Cyclops goes, what? I have grandparents? And it's like, most everyone does. And then he's like, yeah, so I wanted to meet them. And he's like, you bet I do. Just try to keep me away. So then they hug it out, and they go meet them. And then all of a sudden you got some people show up. It's the Gladiator that's the head of Lilandra's Imperial Guard. And he goes, pirate. No, he goes, pirate. I demand to see the Majestics. the Majestrix, Empress Lalandra at once, because I guess she's in prison there. So like they do stuff and they help. And something happened with Reed Richards, and he basically saved Galactus, and something that happened. So like they're like, okay, you got to do this. I unintentionally came up into a conflict with the Fantastic Four from Fantastic Four 249 and 250, and I learned that they had recently encountered Galactus, and then they helped him. So Lalandra goes, and like she's an image. You got Reed Richards and Sue getting it on in bed, and a holograph of Lalandra shows up there, right in the bedroom, and she's like, and then she's like, consider this a warning, Terrans, and like all this stuff happens, and then all of a sudden, Johnny Storm pops out of the bed too. No, he came into the room, and then comes back, and some stuff happens, and then all of a sudden, Professor X shows up. He's all right. The medical bay helped him apparently, so much so that he's standing. But alas, it won't be for long because he, commercial, falls down. His brain power was keeping away the pain and stuff, and he had some stuff going on where he just couldn't walk, and they're like, okay, well, you know what, it'll come. And then they're like, okay, cool, you can come fight in the Danger Room with us. And then they're talking about stuff, and then you got Kitty Pryde there, and he's like, wait a minute, you can't be an X-Man, you're too young, you're too untrained, and what we do with fighting the villains is too dangerous. So Kitty Pryde, I'm sending you, you're not an X-Man, I'm sending you to the New Mutants. And she's like, damn it, Professor X, you're a jerk. And then that leads us into the next issue where you get Kitty Pryde on the cover. It's one of those famous spotlight covers, and she's like standing like this. They actually recently did a cover of it for Extraordinary X-Men. It's one of the spotlight covers, and she's there, and it's like the name of it's Professor X is a jerk. So it's about her transition to the New Mutants. Cool story, cool book. A lot happened, some twists and turns. And you know what? It's typical. What I like about this era is that these stories, there's the overarching story plot that Chris Claremont had going on. However, the story felt like it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. We had an introduction, we had a conflict, and a resolution, all in one story. And yes, there was tie-ins and references to other stuff, but the main story here, I read it in this book, and I felt satisfied. I didn't feel like I had to go pick up issue 168, 169, 170, Fantastic Four. I didn't have to go pick up the Guardians and this and that to, read the story. It was this book, and that was really cool. I love Chris Claremont's run, one of the best, and I highly recommend this book. It's not very expensive. You can collect the story, the Dark Phoenix, you can collect the Chris Claremont, you can collect the X-Men, you can collect the Pieta covers. So there's a lot you can do with this book. It ties into a lot of different types of collections that people might have going on, different runs or different sort of subsets of things that they're looking for. So it's a very iconic cover as well. It's instantly recognizable. A lot of people have seen this, or maybe not familiar with the story, but I think everybody has seen this cover. So I give this I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really like this story. I recommend picking it up. The price is right, the story's right, art is good. Not the typical, digital sort of work that we have now. Very like it's the same type of paper and the printing technology and all. But get one that is very clean and white inside as well, and you'll be able to read it. It won't be like smudged or anything. So go pick it up. But if you've read it, let me know if you agree with me. If you haven't, let me know if you're interested in picking it up. And let me know what you thought when you do. So I know I've done a few of the X-Men books so far, so next week I'm going to try to do something flashback to a DC book. We may even look at the Crisis book, Crisis of Infinite Earths number 7, and one of the similar covers I mentioned. So that might be a good transition over to some DC stuff. So that'll do it today. Like, sub, comment. If it's your first time stopping by, thank you. A lot of stuff like this, collections, hauls, a new live show every Tuesday night. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything, and I'll see you guys in a couple days.